know that feeling where you don't want to do anything, so you end up doing nothing, and then at the end of the day, you're drowning in regret and shame for wasting all that time? That cycle is actually a sign of apathy, a state where your brain shuts down motivation and emotional drive. It feels like being stuck in quicksand. The more you hate yourself for not moving, the deeper you sink. Psychologically, apathy is often tied to burnout, depression, or feeling overwhelmed by choices. Your brain defaults to freeze mode because action feels unsafe or pointless. But here's the paradox. Shame makes it worse, reinforcing the cycle. The way out isn't to force yourself into massive productivity, it's to break the loop with one small, doable action. Wash one dish. Step outside for 5 minutes. Send one text. Each little movement signals safety to the brain, and over time, those micro steps rebuild momentum. Apathy isn't laziness, it's your nervous system asking for relief.
You have to want it more than everyone else. Not just a little more, not just enough to talk about or try when it's convenient, but with an obsession that borders on madness. When they're sleeping, you're working. When they're complaining, you're adapting. When they're celebrating small victories, you're already focused on the next mountain. When they quit because it hurts too much, you push through the pain because the alternative, giving up on what matters most to you, hurts even more. This isn't about talent. Talent is overrated. This isn't about luck. This is about hunger. A hunger so deep, so primal, that it consumes you. It's about wanting something so badly that you're willing to sacrifice what others won't, endure what others can't, and attempt what others don't dare. Of course, there's a price. Relationships will strain. People won't understand. You'll miss moments you can never get back. But that's the test, isn't it? If those obstacles right before you are enough to stop you, if the sacrifice seems too great, then you didn't want it enough. Someone else wanted it more. Someone else was willing to bleed more, to risk more, to give more of themselves to the pursuit. Ask yourself, what are you willing to give up? What comfort can you sacrifice? What pain can you endure? It may take days, months, even years, but you will make it. The question is when, not if. The timeline isn't the threat, doubt is. A rocket burns 80% of its fuel in the first 2 minutes just to break Earth's grip. You too will spend disproportionate energy at liftoff. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're launching. And that single shift in thinking changes everything. Most people are fighting the wrong battle. They're asking, will I succeed? When they should be asking, how long am I willing to fight? They're worried about failure when they should be worried about quitting. Every skill you've ever mastered, walking, talking, reading, driving, at some point you couldn't do any of them. But you didn't question whether you'd eventually figure them out. You just kept trying until you did. The timeline was uncertain, but the outcome was inevitable. The truth is, success operates on its own clock, and that clock doesn't sync with your impatience. Stop asking if you'll make it, and start asking what you're willing to endure to get there. Stop setting deadlines for your dreams, and start setting standards for your effort. The question isn't whether you have what it takes, it's whether you'll keep taking action long enough to reap the rewards of your labor. At some point in your timeline, at a moment you can't predict, on a day you can't plan for, everything will click. The breakthrough will come. The doors will open. The work will pay off. But only if you're still there when it happens. Only if you've decided that when is more powerful than if. The first million is hard, but the second million is inevitable. It's not being a millionaire that's important. It's the person that you must become in order to become a millionaire. You have to become a completely different person. You have to develop character beyond 99% of the people in the world. Someone with discipline when everyone else is distracted. Someone with vision when everyone else is short-sighted. By the time you reach that first million, you've already solved the hardest puzzle. How to transform yourself from someone who dreams about success into someone who creates it. You've built systems, habits, and a mindset that doesn't just create wealth once, it creates wealth repeatedly. The first million is a test. It's the universe asking, how bad do you want it? If you make it, if you grind, adapt, and outlast, you come out the other side as someone who knows how to win. And once you know how to win, the second million is just a matter of time. So don't chase the money, chase the growth. Chase the person you need to become to earn the money. Because in the end, it's not about being a millionaire. It's about becoming the kind of person who can't help but create millions. Or not giving it 100%, you don't care enough. It's that simple. Ask yourself, do I want this? Then ask why you're not matching that same desire with effort. We talk about obstacles, bad timing, lack of resources. We whisper about burnout and self-care, when what we're really doing is protecting ourselves from the uncomfortable truth. We just don't want it that badly. Most of you will nod, yes, I want it. Now, here's the follower, the one that exposes the lie. Why aren't you matching that same desire with effort? If you truly wanted it, if it burned in your gut, if it consumed your thoughts, you wouldn't be scrolling, you wouldn't be procrastinating, you wouldn't be making excuses, you'd be doing. We tell ourselves stories. I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. It's too hard. These aren't reasons. They're symptoms. Symptoms of a desire that isn't strong enough to overcome the friction of reality. Because when you truly care, too hard becomes a challenge. Tired becomes I'll rest later, and tomorrow becomes now. If your effort doesn't match your stated desire, then your desire isn't what you think it is. Results don't come from partial effort. So, either admit you don't care enough and find something you do care about, or ignite that desire until it burns so hot that 100% effort becomes the only logical response. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. There's a certain righteousness in standing up to what is wrong, a thrill in facing down the darkness. But the line between hero and monster is thinner than we'd like to admit. The longer you wrestle with evil, the more you risk picking up its habits, its logic, its justifications. The monster, after all, is not just out there, it's a possibility within. The abyss is not just a poetic metaphor, it's the void you stare into when you confront chaos, injustice, or the parts of yourself you'd rather not acknowledge. At first, you think you're the observer, the one in control, but the abyss is patient. It waits. The longer you look, the more it looks back. And if you're not careful, you start to see yourself reflected in that darkness. History is littered with those who set out to defeat monsters and ended up wearing their skin. The crusader becomes the tyrant. The reformer becomes the oppressor. The avenger becomes the villain. The antidote? Self-awareness, humility.